you guys. We'll go ahead and get started. Where it goes. Chill back here, boy. We're getting started.
Alright.
Alright. So first, just make sure everybody has map, compass, and binoculars, right? Okay, I'll take the sciences compliance. Ghost if you're, not Ghost, Story if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear story.
I just realized I was muted the whole time. Dadgummit. I'm glad you said something, because I didn't know.
I was like, normally you're not this quiet, so maybe...
No, I was being a chatterbox for like 10 minutes straight, and the whole entire time I'm like, why is no one hearing me? And when you said that, I looked down and I realized, oh shit, I muted myself.
Yeah. Alright, so I don't know if G's or Shoot shared the call for fire transmission in the aviation chat with you guys. I don't know if you have access to that. If not, let me know, and I can put the link in there for you.
I just got a notification being, hey, there's a training on Friday and Saturday. I was like, well, fuck it, I'll join.
Alright, so this is a brief introduction, a very... I'll wait for Ghost to reconnect. This is, if you guys are right now, this is a really broad and easy introduction to how we're going to be doing our call for fire missions once we do get orders. So it's going to go over the actual transmission, like how you're going to, actually call for fire over the radio. And then it's going to touch a little on being able to identify a grid on the map.
Okay.
Ghost, you there?
Can't get rid of me that easily.
Alright.
Hey, Ghost.
So just go over what I said while you're gone. This is just a very quick and easy introduction to the call for fire missions once the next update comes out and we start using the mortars. So what this is going to go over is the transmission itself, like how you're going to call the fire mission to the guns. And then this is also going to touch a little bit on being able to identify a position on the map just from looking at a target and being able to pull a grid off of it. So, Story, the reason I extended this invite to aviation is because, as aviation, you guys have better eyes of the battlefield. You guys are flying around. You guys see a lot more stuff than we do. Aviation is more than welcome to call for fire. So you guys need to be just as experienced. I don't know if they're gonna I don't know how they plan on doing it. If they're only gonna have the 15 tangos do it, or if they're gonna have the pilots do it as well. I'm not sure.
They haven't told me anything about it, so.
But it is still good for you guys to know, so that way you add this to your arsenal, just like how we are as the infantry. For the infantry, not everybody is going to be allowed to call for fire. The way it's going to work is it's going to be team leaders and up who are going to be allowed to call for fire. And you have to get it authorized by the PM. So say you see a target you want to drop mortars on, you're going to call up Spartan 6 and then say, hey, we got a platoon of infantry stationary in the open field. They want to call a fire mission on them. Wendy's then going to go and deconflict it with any other issues. Make sure make sure the pilots aren't flying around the area because the mortar rounds have hitboxes. They can't hit the Hueys while they're flying around. So Wendy's going to make sure that there's no issues in the area, and then he'll either approve or disapprove the fire mission. Once the platoon leader approves the fire mission, the team leader or squad leader or whoever it is, the leadership position that's calling the fire mission, is then going to change their channel from the squad net or from the platoon net directly to the fires net, whatever channel the fire controls the FTC is on. You're then going to change your channel to that and then talk to them directly. We're getting rid of the middleman. We're not going to have you send it to Wendy and then Wendy send it to the FTC. We're not going to play the phone game. So you guys are just going to talk directly to the FDC just to expedite the mission and help speed it along. One, that way you get rounds on target faster, and then two, you complete your mission faster. That way the guns then then go and support whoever else needs fire missions. So we're going to go ahead and put the...
Well, this is going to be interesting.
So I just put a link for a Google Doc in Aviation Chat, and then OB and Ghost, the link for the Google Doc is already in the Infantry Chain of Command chat. If you guys open that, that shows you the structure of the call to fire transmission. It gives you the outline of it above, and then below gives you an example of what one would sound like, right? So this is how you would call the fire mission once you get connected directly to the FDC. Which the FTC is most likely going to be Nix. Couple things when calling the mortars, alright? So the in-game assets that we are going to have is the 81 millimeter mortar, alright? The 81 millimeter mortar is not the largest indirect fire weapon system in the Army's arsenal. It is one of the smallest. It's actually the second smallest. The only thing smaller than it is the 60 millimeter mortar. So that being said, it's not the most destructive, right? So you're not going to want to you're not going to want to use the 81 millimeter mortar on heavy armored vehicles. So your tanks, your BMPs, BTRs, right? Things like that, you're not going to do anything. If you get a direct hit, you may at most track it. So it's not even worth wasting the ammunition on trying to call fire mission on that. Or on those kind of targets. What's up?
I watched a video like on the mortars. It's like 2 mortar rounds, or it'll like level the house. So I think it'd be good for that.
Yeah. So yeah, building destruction. Now, once building destruction gets brought into the game and everything, then we're gonna have to start implementing more ROE rules on unnecessary infrastructure damage. So that's gonna be a different kind of situation in there. Then once that becomes a thing. But your primary targets are going to be infantry and trucks, right? Very light-skinned vehicles. Those are going to be things that you're going to want to primarily use for fire mission.
I have a question.
Specifically stationary targets, right? Stationary targets because they're not moving. Fire missions can take a while, right? They can take anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes, depending on how quick they get the tubes laid on. So you have any question, Story?
Yeah, so will BTRs count, or the Mars can't go for it?
So, BTRs, I would not waste the ammo on BTRs.
Okay.
The mortar's only going to have so much ammo. A BTR, you could pop the tires on them, and if you get a direct hit, there's a chance you can set it on fire. But again, that's getting direct hit. Shima went through and did a lot of testing with the mortars. He said there's a 14-meter dispersion on the mortars when they're firing, so it's like a 14 square meter, right? Yeah, so you gotta throw a lot of rounds to try and get a direct hit. So vehicles in general, unless they're like the truck over here, or the UAZs that, no armor, stuff like that, those you could call for fire because shrapnel has a good chance of penetrating those and killing the crew.
Okay.
But your primary targets for the mortars is going to be infantry. That's going to be your, what you're wanting to hit.
Okay.
You're not trying to destroy the trucks and everything with mortars, you're trying to get the shrapnel to kill the infantry. So, like, infantry in the open, stationaries, are moving in a single direction at a steady pace and everything, right? Those are going to be your prime targets for this. And then for situations, at least for the infantry side, that you're going to want to use the fire mission, is if you're about to kick off an assault, right? So say you're about to assault an objective, you want to soften it up with some mortar fire, cause a little chaos amongst the defenders, and then launch the assault. Or if you're in the defense, right? If you're holding a position and the enemy are coming at you, that's a good time to use the mortars. Because their movements would be predictable. They're coming at you, you just sit there and you observe the rounds and walk along and everything.
What about if,
No, go ahead.
what about if, like, there's infantry dug into a spot, and it's like really risky to send a squad in to clear them out. Could we use mortars for that?
So yeah, you can use mortars on entrenched infantry. It may not be as effective because the trenches are there to defeat the use or defeat the effectiveness of indirect fire. But using indirect fire on an entrenched enemy position is a good way to soften up those defenses, kind of cause a little chaos amongst the defenders. And then you immediately launch your assault on that position after the last round is fired. While there's still dust in the air, a little bit of chaos. People are still trying to collect themselves, and now all of a sudden they got fucking infantry charging them.
Gotcha.
So yeah, entrenched position is a good position to use it against. Not as far as the effectiveness, but as far as like causing a little bit of chaos. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Alright, so you guys open up that Google Doc for the call for fire transmission. We're going to go ahead and go through this story. Like I said, I posted in the aviation chat for you
I saw it.
Alright, so the way this is going to start, like I said, once you get authorization to call for the fire mission, you're going to swap over to the FDC net, whatever radio frequency the mortars are using for their FDC and everything. Then you're going to call them and say, "Hey, this is me," whatever. I don't know what fucking call sign Nix is going to have. Say we'll say Apollo 6 for this situation, right? So it'll be Apollo 6. This is Spartan 1 fire mission. And then after you say fire mission, that's when you're going to designate what type of round, right? So whether it's HE, so for high explosive, smoke for concealing positions, or lume for illumination rounds, right? Those are the 3 type of rounds that we're going to have access to. So in that first transmission, you're going to say fire mission HE, right? And we're using high explosive trying to kill something. After that, you're going to follow up with the grid of the target. All right, so grid, 6-digit grid that we pulled from the map. And then we're using the keypad system. All right, so for those who do not know what the keypad method is, you guys know what your keypad on your phone looks like, right? When you pull up your phone to dial a phone number, you got 1, 2, 3 across the top, 4, 5, 6 down the middle, 7, 8, 9 across the bottom. You're taking that setup and essentially overlaying it over these small grid squares of your map. Right? So if you pull out your map and you zoom all the way in, and you get these smaller grid squares to pop up. Inside that smaller grid square, you're going to draw the imaginary lines of equal thirds all the way down and all the way across for 1, 2, 3, down the middle, 4, 5, and 6, and then across the bottom, 7, 8, 9. Make sense?
So we're basically just making smaller squares for the smaller squares.
Yes, you're
That's
making
confusing.
smaller squares for the smaller square.
That's very confusing in my head.
Okay, so to help break it down, so when you pull up you literally take out your phone right now, pull up your keypad that you're about to dial a phone number, and then you see how you got 1, 2, 3 across the top, 4, 5, 6 through the middle, 7, 8, 9 across the bottom. Just imagine that overlaid over these smaller grid squares.
Okay, so where Alice read 1, would that be like a number of itself in that square?
Sorry, one more time, what's your question?
If it, like, Alice read 1, we're down between 56 and 57, that square that we're on, that would be a keypad? Like a keypad 2 or 3 or whatever?
Yep, whatever one, again, it's imaginary, so you're just kind of imaginarily putting their squares in here, so nobody's going to, give you too much shit for being, off by a single keypad or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So no one's going to, be like, oh no, that's keypad 2, not keypad 3, you idiot. No one's going to do that because, again, we're imagining these fucking smaller squares. The reason that we are doing this is because other than using the protractor, which using the protractor is very complicated in the game on the map, especially for console players. The protractor is kind of a bit of a pain in the ass to line up exactly, trying to get the numbers and all that. We're using the keypad method because it is faster and it still gets you a more accurate position than just the 6-digit grid, right? The 6-digit grid, these small grid squares, they are a 100-meter square radius, all right? That's a 100-meter square box. So if you just give a 6-digit grid for your fire mission, they're going to land anywhere within that 100-meter square radius, and that's not very accurate. So we're using the T-pad method because then that breaks it down from a 100-meter square radius to a 33.33333 repeating square meter radius, right? So that's where we are, right? We're at 056 by 073 T-pad. What did I say? I think 5. Let me double check my notes. Yeah, T-pad 5. That's going to be anywhere. Basically, a 33-meter square radius in the middle of 056 by 073. Whereas if we just said 056 by 073, that's a 100-meter radius. That could be down the hill from us. That could be other side of this field from us, right? So, T-pad method is just to get a more precise location on the map faster than having to mess with a protractor and trying to do it, the old school way. Any questions on the T-pad method before I continue on?
Nope.
It's going to take some time and practice, but I understand a lot better with that.
Yeah, it does. It does take some time and practice. Like I said, just imagine. That's why. So a lot of it took us a lot of debating on whether using like your phone's T-pad or using a mouse and keyboard T-pad. Because the mouse and keyboard T-pad is reverse, right? They have 7, 8, 9 across the top. Was it 3, 4, 5 down the middle, or 4, 5, 6 down the middle, 1, 2, 3 across the bottom. We decided to go with the phone keypad because everybody has a phone. Everyone has a cell phone that can look at the keypad, as opposed to not everybody has a mouse and keyboard where they can look at the keypad.
Will they draw the...
What's that?
Sorry to interrupt. Will they draw like keypad 1 all the way to keypad 9 to give a little idea, or we got to make it up as we go?
You gotta make it up. We're not gonna draw the T-pads on every single grid square or anything.
Okay.
That take way too much time. That's why we said it's imaginary. It's gonna get you within 30-ish meters of your target using that system. So from there you can walk the routes on. But yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of time to get used to it and everything. So. Okay, alright, so carrying on. Oh, excuse me. So after you relay the grid to the FDC, the next part of that transmission is going to be your target. Alright, so you're going to say target, whatever you're shooting at, and then a brief description of the terrain they're in. Alright, so for example, infantry in the open, or truck in the wood line, right? Just a brief description of what kind of target they are shooting at, and then that way, and then also like what kind of terrain they're around, because then that's telling them, one, how many rounds it's going to need to take for them to possibly destroy that target. So that's kind of something for their essay. That way they can kind of start pre-planning ahead how much they're going to need to shoot at this target. All right. So the entire first transmission is going to sound like this. Apollo 6, this is Spartan 7, fire mission, HE, grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, T-pad 1, target, infantry in the open, over. Right. That is the entire first transmission of the call for fire transmission. Once you send that, the FDC is going to repeat that entire transmission to make sure that... I apologize, my boys are sword fighting with wrapping paper right now.
You're fine.
Yes, the FDC is then going to repeat that entire transmission to you to make sure that they copied all the information correctly. So he's going to say verbatim the exact same thing. Obviously, not the fucking call signs, with the call signs and everything. But fire mission, HE, grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, T-pad 1, target, infantry in the open, how copy. After he says that, you're going to say good copy to confirm that he copied everything correctly. The The next transmission is going to be from the FDC announcing shot. All right, shot means the guns are firing. All right. And then he's also going to tell you the time of flight. All right, so this is him letting you, hey, we got the guns that are firing. Time of flight is going to be 30 seconds. Start observing, so that way you can make the corrections. That's the point of that message. All right, so it's going to be shot, time of flight, 30 seconds. So it tells you as the observer, all right, I got 30 seconds before that sensing round comes in. All right. So every fire mission, so a sensing round, right? Every fire mission is going to be led off with sensing rounds. So sensing rounds is one round at a time. They're going to fire, they're going to fire one round at a time. Once you make your first call to see where it lands, make sure your grid is correct, make sure the keypad is correct, make sure you're on target. All right. So that's your sensing round. With your sensing round, if you need to make any adjustments, if you need to, shift where they're aiming. That's the point of it, is it's going to show you where the guns are landing, and then you can tell them to make the adjustments from there. So once that round lands, say it was off a little bit, you need to adjust it. Your next transmission is going to be adjust, and you're going to give a cardinal direction. All right. For anyone who may know the real life call for fire transmissions, we're not doing up, down, or we're not doing add, drop, left or right, right? Because that requires more math to be done from their side, and it's unnecessary. We don't want to do it. This is a video game, so we're just going to do cardinal directions, and then distances and increments of 50 meters. All right. If you, so it'll sound, say you landed just a little bit, west of your target by like 50 meters or whatever, your adjustment transmission is going to be adjust east 50 meters. All right, because it landed west, so you need to adjust it to the east. So that's telling them, okay, we landed west of the target, we need to bring the guns back in to make it land east by 50 meters. They're going to make their adjustments. They're going to fire another sensing round. FTC will repeat that transmission back to you when you tell them the adjustments. They're going to repeat it back to you. Anytime you tell the guns an adjustment, a grid, anything, they're going to repeat it back to you to make sure that they copy the information correctly. So yeah, once they make their adjustments, they're going to fire another sensing round. You're going to announce shot, time of flight, 30 seconds. And then say this next round lands on target or within 25 meters of the target, you're going to call for fire for effect. All right? Fire for effect is telling them, hey, you're on target, fire everything. They're going to have a predetermined number of rounds that are going to be for their fire for effect missions. I don't know what that number is. They're still working that out, depending on how many rounds come with the guns, how many tubes they're going to set up, all that stuff. But fire for effect is they're going to fire however many rounds they have set aside for that mission, trying to kill that target. So it'll be the same announcement. You'll call fire for effect. You'll repeat, Roger, fire for effect. Shot, time of flight, 30 seconds. Right. After the fire for effect is over, and we will know the number for fire for effect rounds before every op. That'll be part of every op board. That way you know how many rounds you should be expecting to see land. That way you know when the last round has landed. Once the last round has landed, you're going to do a end of mission report. All right, an end of mission is basically saying how you end a fire mission. Right, end of mission. That's how you say, all right, hey, we're done with this fire mission. We don't need you guys to fire on the start anymore. So the end of mission report is going to sound like this. End of mission. After you announce an mission, you're going to say the effective that the fire mission had on target. So target destroyed, target damaged, no effect, whatever it was. And then you're going to estimate the number of enemy casualties. All right, so say you shot at a infantry team, right? So the team's 4 guys. So end of mission, target destroyed, estimate 4 enemy KIA. All right. Did anybody have any questions about any of that?
Nope.
Nope.
Are we doing repeat fire missions or not?
So yes, when you do the end of mission, well, I guess that would be before. So after the fire for effect, if you want them to repeat that fire mission, basically have them shoot that fire for effect again, you come over the radio and you say repeat. All right. This is why we always say don't say repeat over the radio, because when you say repeat over the radio, that's telling a gun crew to fire their previous fire mission. That's why everyone is like, that's why repeat is such a no-no word on the radio.
Is that why we say again last?
Yeah,
So we don't say repeat?
Yep.
Okay.
Because if you say repeat, if there is a gun crew listening, they're going to fire that last fire mission without asking any questions.
Oh shit, that's scary if that does happen.
Yes.
I can see why we don't say that then.
Yeah, so say you're fired for effect, you had good results, you got some damage, but you're not quite satisfied with it. You just hop back on the radio real quick. Before calling the end of mission, you'd say repeat, and they're just trying to fire another full salvo, another full fire for effect. And then you go into your mission.
Accidentally. We'll get fucking murdered.
For some reason, I can see that happening. I don't know why.
Like I said, for the most part, Wendy and I aren't going to be doing these fire missions. For the most part, it's going to be the team leaders and the squad leaders, because you guys are the ones that are in the ground, actively in the fight. Wendy and I are trying to pull ourselves a little bit more away from being in the fight, and give you guys more independence and let you guys, do things on your own without us being in your hip pockets. So for the most part, these fire missions are going to be called up from the team leaders and squad leaders. Yeah, also another thing, right? Say your fire mission was in a very good position that you think you could use it again, alright? When you are calling, like, say you called it on a three-way intersection that the enemy used pretty frequently, and you want to be able to, and you think you're going to be calling another fire mission in that same spot. When you're calling the end of mission, you can also request to save that fire mission as a TRP, a target reference point, for later on fire missions, right? You just add it on to the end of end of mission, so end of mission, target destroyed, estimate 4 enemy KIA, request to save as TRP. Basically that's telling the FTC, hey, write down all the calculations for this fire mission right now, the azimuth, the mils, everything. Write down all these calculations, so that way, if we ever need to come back to this fire mission, we already have it all saved, and can just jump straight into an immediate fire for effect on it. And so they're going to copy down all that information, and then they're going to give you a TRP number. They're going to give you a control number for that TRP. For you to write down, that way you always know it, because they have TRPs for every guy or every unit that they're doing fire missions for, right? So they could give you like TRP number 1001, right? When our own internal TRPs are only up to like 5 or whatever, right? So they're going to give you their own TRP control number and everything, just because they're tracking TRPs for everybody. And then, like I said, say later on in the mission, you want to call another fire mission on that exact same spot. You just grab up the fucking radio, Apollo 6, it's Spartan 1, fire mission HE, TRP 1001, right? Instead of giving the grid, you're going to give the TRP.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you're talking to the grid, do you go by the top first and then the left side, or the left side and then the top?
You go by the top ones and then the left ones.
Okay.
Along the corridor up the stairs.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for example, our position, we're in 056 by 073, right? So you read a map right and up. Well, right and up's not confusing, it's just how it's always taught me. So you go right, so you're going to stop at the first line that your grid square is at. And then, so coming from the left side of the map, you're going to go all the way right. So we're in 056 by 073, right? So the 056 is the first line on our grid square that you hit coming from the left of the map. So that is going to be your easting grid line for our position. And then for up, you start at the bottom of the map and you do the same thing. You go up until you hit the first line of our grid square. So you start at the bottom map and you go up. The first line for our grid square you're going to hit is the 073 grid line. That's going to be your northing for our position.
Mm.
Makes
Yeah.
sense? It's a little confusing.
I was about to say, I think I just need more practice on it.
Yeah, when looking at our grid square, go left and down.
Okay.
So yeah, if you know, like, based on where you're at in the terrain and everything, if you know what grid square you're in, go left and down. Look at the left line and then go down and look at the bottom line.
So right now we would be in 056 by 073.
Yes.
Okay. That makes a whole lot more sense then.
Yeah, reading maps can be confusing. It's definitely a perishable trait, or perishable skill, I should say. If you don't do it often and frequently, you lose the confidence in being able to do it. It's definitely something that you get more comfortable with the more you do it, as you do it over time and everything. You can do it for years, and then you stop for a year, you come back to it, and you have no idea what you're doing.
That's how the story goes.
Definitely a perishable skill and something you have to do frequently in order to remain good at.
Mm.
Alright, so does anybody have any questions about the call for fire transmission? Again, this is just a brief overview of it, just giving you guys the outline of it so you know what it's like. Because when the new update does release and we do get orders, we will be doing actual call for fire trainings. Where we're going to have the mortars set up and you guys are going to actually work, like, do fire missions. That way you can train on it and get practice with it. So this is just kind of giving you a warm-up for it. So that way, yeah, when we do get to that, we're not having to do all of this process there.
Okay.
Any questions about the transmission?
Not on my end.
Okay. If later on down the road you guys do come up with any questions or anything, I'm always up. My DMs are always open. Feel free to message me, put it in the Discord somewhere. Myself or Nick or Wendy or anybody else who's gotten this training so far can help answer those questions. Right?
What's the splash on the mortars?
So
I thought he said 14.
So that's the dispersion. Dispersion is every time the mortar fires, or sorry, deviation, not dispersion.
Okay.
Every time the mortar fires, the rounds, they don't land in the exact same spot. They can spread over that 14-meter square radius.
Oh, okay.
From what Nixus said for Shima's testing, it has a kill radius of 35 meters. I don't know how much truth it is behind that or anything. Again, this is just the numbers that I was given when I was getting the information from Nix. So
That's a huge radius.
They're saying that they have a kill radius of 35 meters. I'm thinking that's more of a injure radius, not necessarily a kill, because kill radius is anything within that radius is immediately dead. 35 meters is a pretty large kill radius.
I was about to say, that seems pretty big.
Yeah. So, again, once we do get the mortars and actually start doing these fire missions, we're going to refine this and narrow things down a little bit more. But I would say 35 meters is a good injure radius. Anything within 35 meters of the round is going to be guaranteed to be injured. All right. Yeah, like I said, if you guys have any questions about the call for fire transmission, you have the cheat sheet. I highly encourage using the cheat sheet when we do start calling for fire and everything. That way you guys get practice behind it, and you have it to look at when you're doing it. That way you're not having to try and remember this. But okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the second part of the training. I forgot to place something down real quick. Let me do this.